Hey, welcome. Today, we're diving into a tool that's really for anyone who's ever felt stuck. You know, when you feel like you've tried everything and sheer willpower just isn't cutting it. We're going to look at modern hypnotherapy, not as some kind of stage trick, but as a real method for rewriting those hidden scripts that are secretly running our lives. So, does this question right here just hit home for you? I mean, maybe you've tried talk therapy, you've read all the self help books, you've tried to just power through, but those same old habits or anxieties just keep creeping back in. The founders of the JoyMind platform put it so perfectly. We get it, you've tried it all, but still, something's missing. And you know what? That exact feeling of frustration is where our whole conversation really begins today. So, what if the answer isn't about trying harder, but about going deeper? Well, according to depth psychologist Dr. Michael Glock, the real goal is to rewire what he calls the unseen code of our own minds. Now, this isn't some surface level fix. We're talking about a fundamental shift in our internal operating system, one that he says can literally unlock futures we haven't even begun to imagine yet. Okay, so what exactly is this unseen code? Well, it's basically that collection of really powerful hidden beliefs and learned responses that are always running in the background of your mind. Think of it this way. While your conscious mind is at the steering wheel, making plans and setting goals, there's this other massive force with its hands on the controls. And a lot of the time, it's overriding your best intention. And that force? That's your subconscious mind. It's the powerhouse where our deepest habits, our emotions, and our core beliefs are all stored. And this is exactly why willpower alone so often fails when we're up against lifelong habits or those really deep-seated fears. So, to create real, lasting change, you need a way to communicate directly with this incredibly powerful, deeper part of yourself. And that usually happens in a state of deep, focused relaxation. So, the big question is, what does it take to actually reach the subconscious? Well, this is where hypnotherapy comes into the picture. But let's be super clear right from the start. We are not talking about what you've seen in movies or on some cheesy stage show. It's time to just tackle the biggest myths head on. First off, let's just draw a massive line in the sand here. Stage hypnosis, that is pure entertainment, full stop. Therapeutic hypnotherapy, on the other hand, is a clinical practice that's designed for healing. And probably the most critical difference is this. In a therapeutic setting, you are always in control. It's a collaborative process where you're being guided, not a performance where you lose command of yourself. And the approach is also really different from traditional talk therapy. So while talk therapy engages your conscious, analytical mind through conversation, hypnotherapy is designed to kind of bypass that inner critic and get access to the subconscious directly. As the folks at JoyMind explain, it's really for people who hit a point where just talking about the issues over and over again isn't creating the change they actually need. So how does this all work in practice? Well, it's not some vague, mystical process at all. Actually, practitioners like Dr. Glock outline a super clear, three-step path that makes the whole journey feel concrete and, more importantly, safe. Let's just walk through it real quick. First up is discovery. You work with a guide to uncover the hidden why behind your patterns, tracing them all the way back to their source. Second, and this is really the heart of the work, is reprogramming. This is where, in that relaxed, focused state, you can effectively update that old programming. It's literally about rewiring neural pathways and replacing outdated beliefs with new, healthier ones. And finally, reinforcement. This is where you create new goals and action plans, building up momentum to carry these internal shifts out into your real life. It's a complete journey from your past to your present and into your future. Okay, so that's the framework. But what does this kind of transformation actually feel like? The most powerful way to really get it is to hear from people who have actually gone through the process themselves. Take Sam's experience here. The key phrase that just jumps out is significant concrete changes in the moment. For so many people who have spent years in other types of therapy, this speed is the biggest surprise. The goal isn't just gradual progress over months, it's about creating an immediate, tangible shift. That feeling of being lighter, less anxious, and just fundamentally different right after a session. And then you have the impact on these really long-standing issues. John says he's suffered for 3 decades, 30 years, but felt a difference after his very first session. But the most powerful line for me? I had given up. This just shows how this kind of work can restore a sense of possibility for people who truly believe their struggles were permanent. And hey, if you're watching this with a little bit of skepticism, maybe you identify with having a very analytical mind, then Lajuana's story is so powerful. She came into the whole thing skeptical, but she still had a breakthrough, overcoming barriers she never thought she'd get past. It's such a great reminder that this isn't about belief, it's about the process. And finally, here's a story that makes it all so incredibly real. Alicia lived with a lifelong phobia of loud noises her whole life. After her sessions, she went to an event and actually experienced it without any of the anxiety or fear that had always been there. That is a practical, real-world result of rewiring one of those deep-seated patterns. So, how does this all tie together? We've gone on this little journey from that feeling of being stuck to understanding the subconscious code that drives us, and we've even seen a clear method for change. So what's the ultimate takeaway from all this? It all really comes down to this one core idea. Real, tangible change in your external world, in your career, your relationships, your health, it all begins with the work you do on the inside. By uncovering the potential that's already within you, you create the reality you actually want to live. So this leaves us with one last question, and it's one for you to take with you. What's that one pattern, that one belief, or that one fear that if you could just change it, would unlock a completely new future for you? That is your next bold shift. Thanks for watching.